Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rachak Kodesh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And I have a couple of headlines here that I'm going to go through, starting off with this introduction of open use of facial recognition technology in California grocery store here, or grocery stores. As they're saying, this is to combat theft. Right now, they're saying that ever since the pandemic, there's been an increase. As it says, a epidemic of shoplifting that has battered California retailers for years. Grocery outlet is fighting back with technology. Now, when grocery stores usually already have cameras installed in them, but facial recognition technology is what allows the cameras to be able to, as you can see in the picture here, track a face and identify via that image or video is looking at who this person actually is and get their information, cross-reference it via multiple databases to pull up their ID, their address, in the case that they need to submit this to the authorities or the police or whoever, to say, okay, this person shoplifted. Under previous circumstances, they would have just taken this stuff and ran out the store. Nowadays, the security guards can barely even do anything about it, right? They tell them, some places they tell them, don't, just let the person go. So it's like hiring security to just be scarecrows. But then now, even if the person supposedly gets away, they now have their information already. So they'll just get a visit from the police, maybe that same day or a day later or whatever it is, and then they'll have to deal with the consequences that way. So that is the approach that, as we're seeing here, some California grocery stores are starting to take now. It says customers are not thrilled about it. The Emeryville-based discount grocery chain has begun installing facial recognition software called SAFR, or SAFR, at a handful of Bay Area stores, including its Pleasant Hill Bargain Market location. CBS News San Francisco reported, customers walking through the doors will find signs warning them the system is in use. A disclosure, the company says, is meant to keep shoppers informed. The rollout comes, so that in it, that in itself is supposed to be like a measure to deter people. Like, if you know that you're being recorded, but also, via facial recognition cameras or software, that means that you are identified on camera. So if you do anything stupid, they can find you. The rollout comes as California tries to combat a shoplifting problem that has spiraled out of control. So, this is what they got going on over here now. This is the cause that they're saying, the reason they're saying they're doing this, because of this like high rate of theft. But as more and more grocery stores and chains see this, what do you think they're gonna do? Eventually, they're also gonna start to adopt this facial recognition technology, and then before you know it, you now have a society where it becomes a norm for grocery stores to be using facial recognition technology, and then it goes on from there, because other sectors will look at it and say, oh, I see the benefit of having this here. Now let's also put it here. Oh, why not put it on street cameras? Why not put it here? Because crime, like if you abstract this a bit, crime is what they're trying to solve, right? In this case, theft. But if you are using the ability to recognize the criminal's face and then prosecute them for it using facial recognition technology, then theft is not the only crime that exists, and grocery stores are not the only places where these things happen. So if this facial recognition technology can solve the problem for a grocery store when dealing with theft, why can't it solve the problem for assault on the street somewhere, right? Or some other crime that takes place on the street somewhere? Even though they have technology around, like now there's this outcry against Flock, which are, I think it's some company that is setting up more and more cameras around, the streets and flagging license plates, supposedly in accordance with the authorities, but you know, take that with a grain of salt. So this is what you have going on over here. Next, dealing with the global shortages, right? The global strain due to this U.S.-Iran-Israel war. This is a quote from an oil trader that says, "We've burned through all buffers," right? Oil traders warn, marking market running on fumes. Now, remember, a couple months back, there were forecasts about, in a month or two's time, the energy crisis is being felt, but it's going to be much worse because certain places have buffers. They have reserves that they can release, strategic reserves of oil that they can release to cushion, right? And be a buffer so that you're not feeling the immediate impacts. It's like having a savings account with money in it. So if you lose your job or you're not making money, you're not immediately struggling because you still have some money in your savings. The real problem comes when the money in your savings runs out and the problem isn't solved. Now you're going to start to really feel the full effects. So that's what they're warning about here, right? They're saying that those the buffers or the reserves and what was being released to help cushion the pain of this energy crisis caused by obviously the chaos at the Strait of Hormuz, which now seems like it's going to expand to the Red Sea area. In any case, they're saying now people are going to start to feel that more, right? Because of what we just read here, right? So I'm going to jump down a bit. Let me see. It says here, Financial Times spoke with energy traders at the end of the week who warned that slowing tanker traffic through the Strait of Hormuz could trigger a more severe supply crunch than the first round of the U.S.-Iran war, because emergency reserves and stockpiles around the world that cushioned the earlier disruption have been mostly depleted. The stockpiles are there to be used strategically so that while they're being used, ideally the problem is being solved so you don't get to a case where we're reading about now. But clearly that's where we are. Quote unquote, we've burned through all the buffers or all of the buffers we had. Everything, said one trader. All of that's now gone. So now what are you left with? The consequences, pain. All right. I'm going to jump down a bit just to skim through here. It says now we have close to nothing, and market complacency around Hormuz flows is being severely tested. Okay. So there's an update on that front now. Meaning that whatever you were feeling due to the war that was going on, gas prices going up and prices of other things going up as well, it's gonna be much worse now because there are no more, like they just said, they've used up everything that they had in most places around the world. State Department, next headline, State Department issues worldwide caution as U.S.-Iran tit-for-tat spirals into regional crisis. Now, the thing about this is Iran right now, right, at least as is publicly known, are not able to reach the U.S. with their missiles. But why are they then warning with a worldwide caution? Because that is not the only way they can do damage. So now you start to think of, false events, certain attacks, certain situations that could take place in different areas, right? That they're sort of hinting at with this caution, right? It says CENTCOM says U.S. forces, this is the summary of it, launch new strike on Iran. State Department issues worldwide warning. CENTCOM says 2 U.S. troops killed in Iranian attack on Jordan base, which they ended up bombing Iran some more because of that. And Iran retaliated. They said, look, if you keep doing this is going to turn into an all-out war. And there are certain stages, right, where when you escalate and you hit a certain point, you don't go back from that, right? Like, if you get to a point where somebody uses a nuke, what do you think the other side is going to do? Then they're going to come there with diplomatic papers, trying to do some diplomacy, come there with agreements, trying to, no. Then that's not what they're thinking about. Iran formally suspends MOU, which is supposed to, what kind of name anyway? Memorandum of understanding with the U.S., declaring agreement is over and commitments will no longer be fulfilled. Fighting escalates into 7th straight day of heavy bombings. So it's basically back to square one, except now, as I'm going to jump down here, it says U.S. strikes disrupt southern Iran's telecom network, knocking out 116 communication towers amid new infrastructure war. So the difference now is now they're also targeting infrastructure, okay, which is not good. All right. Iran pounds Kuwait energy infrastructure, damaging power and desalination facilities. Also not good. So they're like, you hit us, we're going to retaliate. Where you hit us, that's where we're going to hit you. And before you know it, there's that tit for tat, tit for tat. Now, let me get a precept on here because this is all, it's all part of the plan. The question is, whose plan? And it's the Most High's plan, right? That he has put into the minds of these elites, Esau, Edom, behind the scenes to think that it's really his plan or that he's in control. This is Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. It says, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. And woe is a bad time. Why? Because, well, look at the headlines I just read. And that's just a fraction of the things that are actually happening. For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So they're moving very quickly because they know this devil, which is referring to the deceiver, is Esau, Edom, right? And that starts with your elites, different governments, those that are sending the orders down to, the U.S., to Israel, all of them. They are moving quickly and pressuring them to get a move on because they're running out of time. There's a limited time that the Lord gave them to rule, and they're trying to accomplish their agenda, which they think is going to bring them into a new world order that they rule, but they're seeing that they have a short time, so they're trying to move quick. But guess what? The Lord is the one who's ultimately in control, and is going to come right back down, crashing upon them. So with that, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying and informative to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rachak Wadash. Until next time, Shalom.